Hello guys, this is Alexandra, and I wanted to do a different type of video where I discuss an actual client case study. So I will be discussing how this twin flame journey looks for this person and how am I specifically helping this person in her twin flame journey in coaching. How does coaching look like? All of these questions that I feel maybe people are having about actually working with an Ascension coach like us. So let's just get started with the situation. So this person is her twin flame has a third party situation. They have been together, and the third party knows about their relationship, and at some point there have been some very kind of nasty influences, I would say, from the third party. That it has been like verbal abuse and even physical abuse towards my client, and a lot of just hostility created because of their relationship, to the point that my client has been affected in job opportunities and in a lot of areas socially, because where she's from is like a smaller community. So let's just get into the healing, and I will talk specifically about what we dealt with in the last session, because I felt it was like a really deep healing that we did, where we managed to work through a lot of like a really big piece that she didn't saw how it was connected to her twin flame journey. And I have her permission to talk about this. And I think this is one of the things with the twin flame journey, where it seems like the twin flame is doing some stuff and it has some behaviors, and at first you don't know how this is reflecting you. So just to kind of put some twin flame basics here, your twin flame is you, and they will be mirroring to you back your own hurts and unresolved patterns, blocks, childhood traumas, things like that. So what my client was experiencing is that her twin flame kind of gave her like an ultimatum of like, I'm never gonna break up with my spouse. It is what it is. I can't be with you. And she was absolutely went through a lot of feelings about that, decided to let him go. And of course he came back a few days after. So they were just discussing that it was just a very trapped energy, and an energy of like, he couldn't see a way out, with his spouse, because of just situations in the relationship. He felt trapped. He was like, I don't know where to go, like it's not possible for me to be with you, all of these things. Like it was the same kind of repeating story. Now, how was this affecting my client? My client was always having like this thing of like, well, maybe I should just let him go. Maybe it's his best if he just remains with her because of just the circumstances. I am hurting him. This relationship is hurting him. This relationship is hurting other people. This relationship is bad. And ultimately, it is what it is, and I cannot have what I desire, right? So I have worked with her for like a month or so, and I started to see from her, and just getting to know her, how she has had a very, in a way, abusive childhood. There was a lot of emotional neglect. There was a lot of even physical abuse. And one of the things that constantly was said to her is that she cannot have what she wants. And this was imparted into her by her parents, right? And it was like, obviously in childhood, it starts with maybe like innocent things, like maybe toys, or, going out, or having specific things, But the thing is that what people don't realize, if you have that programming kind of imparted into you by your parents, and then throughout your whole life of like, you can't have what you want, this will totally be reflected in your twin flame, right? And it wasn't her, and her twin flame was actually saying like, we can't be together, we can't have that relationship, which was triggering into her essentially just this ongoing hurt of, I can have what I want, it's not appropriate for me to have what I want is hurting people, right? Because just an example of how this what I want is hurting people is manifested well with the parents, if they don't have money, or like the financial situation is bad, oftentimes some parents would be like, well, it's because of you, like, I have to suffer to provide for you, which is essentially this energy like, taking care of you is painful, or your existence is bringing pain to me, which of course can manifest into your union being exactly like this. Your union will bring pain to the world, right? Now this comes from the wounded space, right? And I think like maybe if you hear me talk about it like this, you can maybe raise some red flags, like that's not how it's supposed to be, right? Yeah, not like in loving relationships at least. And this is not to deny that you can have hardships or challenges or things going bad in life, but my client specifically had this ongoing pattern with her family where she was constantly put down, she was constantly berated, she was constantly just, her desires were wrong, her being her authentic self was wrong. All of this was just bad. Anything that she wanted and would bring her joy was absolutely not supported by her family. Her family was constantly against it, and she essentially had to fit in this box that her family created. Now, fast forward to the twin flame situation, drawing a parallel, this is exactly what is happening with the twin flame and the third party. The third party is kind of trapping, in a way, the twin flame in this box, just how my client had to live in a box to fit, her parents' expectations, right? So for me as a coach, when I look at your situation, and especially, after a few sessions, I kind of get to know you. We had like multiple sessions a week with this person because she wanted to go super fast, so I did get to know her pretty well. And she was very open and very, collaborative in this, she's really great to work with because her mental attitude is like, I'm done with this, I want to resolve it, I want help. And that's, a great space where we can come in and just do the deep work. So for me as a coach, I draw the parallels all the times between what is happening right now in your reflection with your twin flame, because remember, this external circumstance is not the end all be all, it's not set in stone, it's just there to come to make you look within yourself and heal, right? And this is what I have done with this client. We have gone within, we have faced these things. But so this was all just a lot of context for you guys to just understand how, first of all, I think like childhood stuff and your relationship with your parents and the way that you have been treated in the past can affect currently your situation with your twin flame. And this can affect you if those things are unresolved and those things are blocked in your consciousness, right? So you will know if those things are blocked because you still feel them, like you still feel that way. So my client was experiencing, I can't have this, she was saying it out loud, she was saying it to me like, I can have it. And I'm like, okay, where does this come from? We have to look beyond this. Like, this is just if you want to manifest your union, this cannot be the mental pattern that you run. So what's going on? So we went deeper with it, and this is kind of what we found. And in the healing today, we were going through the mirror exercise, which, by the way, this mirror exercise took us like 30 or 45 minutes. So if you're just starting with the mirror exercise, I do want to say that yes, it can take a bit of time to go through the mirror exercise. If you have watched my previous videos on the mirror exercise and you see me doing kind of fast-paced mirror exercise, that's because, you know, I am more experienced and I do it more often. I have done it for years, but in the beginning, sometimes it's totally appropriate to take, you know, 30 to 40 minutes to do a mirror exercise. And this was with me guiding her because it was a very deep thing that we were working through. So we started from the step one of, I am upset that my twin flame has a duty to the wife, you know, the spouse, you know. Now this in step two is, I'm upset that I have a duty to myself, right? So we went to this step 3, and if it's this true. Now in this case, I have a duty to myself. Myself is not like a good part, so to say. It's more like a fear-based part where you have a duty, or my client, you know, in this case, had the duty to something that wasn't good for her, you know, because you can have, and you can acknowledge to yourself, you have in yourself right now patterns that are unhealthy. Some of them are unconscious, some of them are conscious, but you do them from a sense of duty, you know, because, for example, for her, as we dug deeper, it was like this thing coming out, well, you know, it's my duty in a way to not have what I want because it will hurt other people or it will hurt myself, or so on and so forth. So you can have a sense of duty to a pattern that's within yourself that is actually not beneficial. So we went into that and we started healing. And honestly, I don't remember exactly all the healing that we did because it was like, again, 40 minutes. I won't go through all of it, but I just wanted to emphasize a few key points from that mirror exercise. The first was that there was like false beliefs that she had, you know, like about herself and her happiness. And, you know, she felt like she couldn't have her happiness. You know, she felt like it wasn't appropriate actually for her to be happy or for her to have what she desires, because, again, like this whole childhood conditioning. So she had to realize and give to herself, you know, that sense of, no, that it's appropriate for you to have what you desire, you know, and to be loved, right? And I think like the most, like, after we went through it, oh yeah, the thing was that she was very comfortable actually in this pattern of heartbreak. So because she didn't get what she wanted her whole life, she developed kind of like a coping mechanism. Like she expected it, you know, she knew that she could maybe have like 80% of what she wanted, or, you know, something close to that, and then it will be taken away. And while it doesn't seem like a healthy thing, right, because she has experienced this hurt so many times, she had in a way comfort with it. You know, she was like, oh, I'm gonna get stabbed in the back, I know it's gonna happen and it's gonna be okay, you know. And that's what was her attitude towards it. And I was like, this is not an appropriate attitude to have if you really want to succeed in life. You have to see yourself as a, in a way, like as a winner. You want to see yourself as worthy to have what you desire. You have to like work towards it. And I gave her, for example, an example from her own life where she did that, you know, where, you know, she started her own business. And when she started her own business, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna start it but it's gonna fail. No, she didn't have that mentality, right? She was like, yeah, like I'm gonna make it work. There's gonna be challenges, of course, but this is something that I really want to do. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I want to, you know, earn an income from this, and I'm just gonna do it. But that's not the attitude that she had with her twin flame journey. Her attitude towards her twin flame journey was like, oh, well, maybe I can see him a little bit, but he's not gonna be with me. And maybe if he's gonna be with me, he's gonna leave me again. And it was like this whole kind of cycle of heartbreak, because, again, coming from her conditioning, this is where it was triggered that she couldn't have what she desired. And she had this, you know, again, kind of coping mechanism and a comfort in knowing that it's gonna fail. And this is like, we have no idea if this is gonna fail or not. Who knows? Maybe this person is not her twin flame or not attached. We don't know. But the point is that right now there's a lot of healing going on and a lot of energy, a lot of feelings that my client is having. So it's like beneficial to look at this situation. So the point is not the outcome, but she was creating the outcome already in her mind. She was seeing in a way the failure, or the fact that she wasn't worthy to have it, right? But the problem is that this was her comfort zone. Her being heartbroken was her comfort zone. So therefore I asked her, okay, what's uncomfortable for you about actually having what you desire? And that's where we hit something deep. Because she realized, like, yeah, if she were to think about, being with her twin flame or having what she desired, she felt uncomfortable with it. And she was like, wow, this is, like, I do feel uncomfortable. I do feel like a resistance. Like, I don't want to go into that place. It feels strange and it feels foreign. And that's, normal for her. Because again, considering that all her life she has been living with this pattern of like, I can't have what I want, switching that pattern will bring an uncomfortable feeling, because it's like, it's new. And this is the nature of healing, where change needs to happen, right? And she was a bit resistant in kind of stepping into this change fully and completely. But obviously I helped her. And, it was essentially about her standing up for herself and saying no to this narrative, saying no to, like, as a child, her parents saying her that, saying even no to, like, there was like an incident that came up with the twin flame's wife where she physically attacked her, which was crazy. was what went on. She got, and she didn't do anything, because again, like that, she was abused, right? So when you get into a space where you are abused a lot, you're kind of like retracting and not, you don't want to upset, the abuser even more. So you kind of shut down and go within. And through this healing with the mirror exercise, it was just like, okay, we need to change things. Stand up for yourself. This is you with yourself in your imagination. But even in her imagination, she was like, she couldn't stand up to her, And I was like, this is you. This is a safe environment. Nothing is going on. Just stand up for her. Just put her in her place, however you feel that's appropriate. And she managed to do it, right? And this was a thing that we have noticed, and for me it kind of raised some red flags as we were working together, because the way that she was talking about the twin flame wife was very respectful tone, and everything was okay, but like you don't really, how to say, it's okay to be respectful, but at the same time you need to acknowledge when there is a toxic behavior happening, because somebody physically abusing you and you're like, oh yeah, they're just like a sweet person. That's not normal. That's not a normal behavior. Okay, you being physically attacked by a person and then saying, oh, they're just like a sweetheart, that doesn't make any sense. That just shows that unfortunately you have been abused before. You are very used to being abused, and you are in the place where you're taking, kind of side, and putting a good word for your abuser to justify the abuse, but it's not, it's still abuse, And for her, that was like a big thing to just kind of integrate and realize, and see that, wow, like, you're right. This has been like a discussion that we had over a bit more sessions, but one thing that I also told her, it was like a really extreme example, but again, just to kind of show her is that, and this came again from the fact that she did a mistake or did something wrong. And in a way, the pattern was that, if you do even a slight mistake, there is an open door for that person to abuse you or do everything that they want, with you. And that's absolutely not appropriate. Yes, you're human. Yes, you can do mistakes. Yes, you can cause, even pain to other people. It can happen. However, that doesn't open the door for you to be abused. That's a hard no. But again, my client didn't have those types of boundaries. And yeah, we worked through this. It was a very deep healing. And in the end, she saw how even the twin flame is receiving, in a way, abuse, and not putting boundaries, because again, the issue was she was not standing up for herself, and she was not putting boundaries. Right now we see that the twin flame is also not standing up for himself, and also not placing boundaries with the third party here. So it kind of clicked for her. And then after the session, she messaged me, because I said, just be careful, this can come up like in all of your life, like right now, because you're healing. And she messaged me and she said, you know what, I think like this is kind of happening in my finances, and this is why I have some issues in my finances, so I would look at that until our next session. So this is the type of work that we do in coaching. It's deep, it's raw, we look at stuff, but this is the nature of accepting that your twin flame is your mirror. You look at yourself and you see, with twin flames, for me, I always see one-to-one correlation of what the twin flame is showing and what the person needs to heal. And as they heal, things with a true twin flame truly do change. With a false twin flame, the relationship would just fall away. But that can happen only as you heal. It's not just like right now you get triggered and you're like, oh, this is a false twin flame. It's not like that. So yeah, this is how it is to work with us. This is what we do in coaching session. And yeah, we use the mirror exercise. Yes, it can take a while to get used to doing the mirror exercise, and get used to like really loving yourself and facing deeper parts of yourself. But ultimately, this is the work that does change your life, right? So right now, my client is experiencing a change from not standing up for herself and not placing boundaries, to standing up for herself and placing boundaries. And it's gonna be, she's still new, so she might, falter a little bit. She needs to learn how to do that. It's a new skill, but it will be very important for her to claim what she desires, to know that she's worthy of it, and to really stand up for herself and stand up for what she desires, because she doesn't need to accept that narrative any longer. And if you remember the mirror exercise and how we started, is that I'm upset that my twin flame has a duty to her wife, and I'm upset I have a duty to myself. Here was this narrative that I can't have what I want is hurting people, and I've done a mistake and I deserve the worst. That was the narrative that she had the duty to, and that was the narrative that needed to be let go of. And it doesn't make you any better, and you're not gonna receive your salvation by punishing yourself endlessly or tolerating abuse because a mistake that you did, or a perceived mistake that you did as well. Because with abusers, they can make anything up about you, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you did a mistake or not, right? Good. So this is the kind of case study. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments if it was helpful. And yeah, thank you, and see you guys around. Bye bye.